Dan Brickley.
Hi there. So this is a very special occasion, and we've heard a lot today about Tim Berners-Lee, inventor of the web, and I wanted to try and introduce the Friend of a Friend project by paying tribute to Tim Berners-Lee, graphic designer. So I've shamelessly stolen most of my graphics from Tim, from his original 1989 memo, and from a talk he gave here in 1994, just as the web was starting to go crazy. So the suggestion here is that the web of data, the things you've heard about from the previous two speakers, has really been in the web plan from the start. If you look at the document Tim wrote 20 years ago, it's all in there. So to understand the future of the web, really look to its origins. So what I wanted to do was pick on this phrase, vague but exciting. And it is vague but exciting. If you look at the diagram in the 1989 document, it's got all this hypertexty stuff, links between things. But if you look closely, they're kind of rather different kinds of links. Some of them are links between documents, and we know all about that now. There are trillions of the things. A document refers to another document. But also up there, he's got links between people and documents. Tim wrote this document. This document describes something or other. It describes lions, describes TV stars. And the vagueness was explaining what exactly is going on there. Some are hypertext links, but some are facts or claims about the world. And I think right there on the first page of this memo, you've got the roadmap for all this work we've done on linked data, on FOF, and on semantic web. So moving into the other graphic I stole. Where are we? The semantic web project really, I think, it's about unraveling that mystery of how we relate links between documents to links between people, links between the stuff, as Tom says, the stuff that we really care about. People don't care so much about documents. They care about their real life. And this diagram here is probably my favorite Tim Berners-Lee graphic. I stole it from the 94 presentation. And I was not involved in 94. I was at university or something. But the explanation I saw of this on the web was in terms of the web shadowing reality. To computers, the web was flat and boring. It was links between documents. And to us, the world was the thing of interest. It's links between people, types of things. I mean, it's illustrated here with a little yellow house, some people, some T-shirts. Off to the right, there's a light bulb. It's charming in its childish simplicity when you realize, there are, 6 billion people now, 106 if you count the ones that lived previously. There are trillions of documents. But this diagram, I think, captures the essence of what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a web that shadows aspects of reality. And we build a web of data if we allow documents to describe these things and relationships. So you see down there Tim's original diagram. The mystery is kind of unfolded a bit if you think of each document making claims about that world that's up there. And we need arbitrary relationships. We need relationships that come from user studies at the BBC, that come from people building applications. We don't need relationships that are anticipated by 2 or 3 computer programmers. And that, I think, is the core of the challenge in front of us. So web pages make claims about the world. And increasingly, they're in data forms that machines understand to some extent, as well as people. And the claims about the world, they might not always agree. So in Chris's picture of Tim, you had information about provenance, where facts came from. That Tim was a person according to these 15 different databases. That's absolutely critical to what we're trying to do here. That when we're lucky, the documents agree, the claims are consistent, and we can build a big database from all this stuff. And when the documents disagree, at least the disagreement is mechanically evident. We can put it into Excel and do analytics over it. So how does this connect to FOF? The Friend of a Friend project was really an attempt to put some of these ideas into practice. We had technology, RDF, which was done in, I think, 97, 98, 99. And in 2000, I wanted to see it actually used. And I was collaborating with Libby Miller, sat down here somewhere, Damien Steer and others in this room. And we started just writing machine-readable documents about ourselves. So the first FOF file was my homepage, turned into turned into into machine-readable data. The second was Libby's, and it just rolled out from there. We had 2, 3 friends of our friends, eventually hundreds, thousands, millions of these files. And what was fascinating to me was the extensions people made. We had blood type extensions. People wanted to describe in Japan their blood type, so they did. They put that in there. We had family tree stuff, language skills. I could say, I speak Spanish very poorly, or I'm learning Croatian. You could describe software. One of the original use cases from Tim's document is, who maintains this software? What does it depend on? Where did it come from? Which group? So Ed Dumble came up with this description of a project language for describing software. And it all mixes into the same data environment. Each new linked data set that you saw in that graph enriches the whole network. Each new data set about music increases my ability to describe myself and my musical tastes. We waited for the music brain stuff to come online in RDF so that we could describe people's music preferences. If I want to describe agricultural research, which is what not many people do, but lots of them, the UN FAO are putting up their data from the Agravoc thesaurus that describes in great detail that very scientific world. It's another blob on the diagram. Every month there's another few blobs. So FOF is, in its own way, a tiny little boring project because there's not much in there. But every FOF description can take from it the bits it needs from the rest of the web. Last thing I wanted to say was that in the last year, we've seen Google with the Social Graph API, Yahoo with SearchMonkey and their boss, customizable search engine. In Russia, we've seen Yandex, which is the big search engine there. Things from the semantic web community like Syndice and Falcon, putting up big databases of this stuff. Also, Garlic have their Kudos product. Once you've harvested all this stuff from the web, you can ask it questions you can't ask of a single document. Questions about, here's a claim, which other documents agree with it? Who wrote those documents? Where do they come from? So it's really exciting times. And I just want to end by saying, if you want to understand where it's going, go back to the beginning. Read the document that's 20 years old. I think probably less than half the people in this room have read it from beginning to end, and it's really worth reading. It's not some mystical tract of sacred truth, but it's got a lot of clever ideas in there, ideas which 20 years later are only starting to roll out on the web. So think of the web not as a thing, a static given thing, but as a project that's only just getting going. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. So Dan wanted to ask you guys, how many of you actually read the original proposal? Hey, quite a large number of people.
So you have homework.
How many understood it? How many wrote it? So before we go for the discussion,